2020, Nigeria will clock 6th. And the question is, how well have we fared? With all the economy and security challenges, Nigerians are really, really worried. Today on Peace Talk with Mercy, I'm so honored and glad to host one passionate, driven Nigerian, the one-time presidential candidate of the Republic of Nigeria. He is the publisher, Sahara Reporters, and convener, Revolution Now campaign, Mr. Omoyele Sowore'S. Good to have you on Peace Talk with Mercy, and I hope I called the name very well this time.
Well, doesn't matter. Thank you so much for bringing me on your show.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys, here he is on Peace Talk with Mercy. Do leave a comment on the comment section. Let us know the questions you have for him. You've seen him. He has contested as the presidential candidate. He's all over, trying to make revolution happen in Nigeria. So what kind of questions do you have for him? Let's hear from you at the comment box. Thank you so much, Mr. Sowore'S Omoyele. Yeah? Omoyele. I have this tongue.
Yes, that's fine.
Twist.
Those tribes, tongues may differ.
Yeah, we are one.
In brotherhood we stand. So that's one of the lines now in one of our national anthems. You see, when we were in the university, as a way of opposing the corrupt system in town, we used to sing the old national anthem of Nigeria when they started this new one.
Oh, wow.
So it starts with Nigeria we hail thee, our own dear native land.
Wow.
Though tongues and tribes may differ, in brotherhood we stand. But the moment they started, destroying the brotherhood, they replaced the anthem too.
So
yes. So as I was saying that when we were student leaders in the 90s, out of our own rebellious nature against the status quo, we used to sing the national anthem, and it started with Nigeria we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. And it goes on like that. But I think the moment they started destroying the Nigerian brotherhood, they replaced the anthem. So this Arise, O Compatriots, which is more like a subservient national anthem. That one was a very, very freedom-loving like kind of anthem.
And at this time, I think we need to reawaken that.
No, we must reawaken the giants in every generation, actually, not the younger generation alone, because every generation is deserving of freedom.
Yeah, very true.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So Nigeria will be 60 in a month's time. What is your take on the state of the nation so far?
The way I look at Nigeria at 60 is like a child that was still born, biologically speaking, that had such, lovely promises of a great future, but right from birth, the enemies of that child surrounded the child. The father, the mother, the relatives, all of them kind of pounced on the child, and then did not allow the child to even walk or crawl. So Nigeria refused or was not allowed to grow since 1960. So it's a nation that is in 60 years of social, political, and economic paralysis. That's the way I describe Nigeria. Out of the 60 years, I have spent about 50, and I can tell you categorically that I've never seen anything great about Nigeria. So when people say sometimes accidentally on Facebook that let's make Nigeria great again, I wonder, when was it great before? How did you make something that was never great to become great again? And the reason is simple. Leadership has been a problem from the beginning. That is why today Nigeria has mostly been governed by its ancestors, people who are older than Nigeria itself. Yes. You rarely can find anybody who is president of Nigeria today who was born in 1960. It's usually people who are older than Nigeria kept governing Nigeria because they were the uncles and relatives I was telling you that pounced on the newborn baby from day one. So that's why we're where we are. So there's nothing really to celebrate about Nigeria. And as a result, so I can come forward on October 1, instead of celebrating, we will be protesting against what has happened to Nigeria in the last 60 years.
Okay, so the major problem for Nigeria is leadership?
It is.
It should be governed by ancestors.
It's been governed by its ancestors, you know, and mostly it's like Nigeria has been governed by its enemies. Yes.
That's a strong word.
It's a strong word. You know, I know you do peace talks.
Yes.
I do justice talks, you know.
Peace and justice.
We can't find peace without justice. Yes. So we cannot remove justice, and because what we typically have had in Nigeria over these years is the peace of the graveyard. Yes, it's not the kind of peace that emanated from justice. And that's the only way you can have sustainable peace when there is justice.
So peace of the graveyard meaning you're dead to fight.
There's only peace because everybody is dead, practically. Or those who are not dead are afraid of death.
Okay, so
that's peace of the graveyard.
You talked about how Nigeria has fared so far. And you said Nigeria was never great. We thought Nigeria was great because at the point we heard that the school fees was paid by government. You know, you go to school and you eat very well, being fed by government. You know, the prices of things were quite good and reasonable. So we thought we had that kind of history. But hearing from you that Nigeria has never been great.
The history of a great nation can be gleaned from its history as well, right?
Yeah.
If Nigeria was such a great country, they would not have scrapped history from our curriculum. Because look at me, when I was younger, we used to go out for Independence Day parade, and they used to tell us about all these, you know, great leaders that were leaders of Nigeria. And when we got to the university, we discovered that it was a scam, and we had to fight the same leaders that were told were great people. Because when our eyes opened, we realized that they were not the great kind of leaders they thought they said they were. So it was packaging, you know, of people who were not who they claimed to be.
But are there any lessons we can learn from events of the past that shouldn't be repeated? Like from the 1967 Civil War?
It's only that Nigeria and leaders in Nigeria, they don't learn. You know, they're like the Bourbons in France. They said there's a word about them, they're saying about them that they learn nothing, but they forget nothing. They don't learn. Because what brought us to war in 1966 was the rigging of elections that started around 1963. And the problem just continued, and eventually there were disagreements, and that led to war. Because there was a coup in 1966, and it dragged on. There was a lot of crisis, and then by 1967 we had gone into full-blown war that ended in 1970. A year after that, I was born. I was born in 1971. So, what did we do in 1979? Election. Rigging again. What did we do in 1983? Rigging of election. What did we do in 1993? Perfect election annulment. Right? What did we do in 2003? Rigging again. What did we do in 2007? Third time. What did we do in 2000 following that? Brought completely someone who was on his way out, was imposed on this country, practically a dead person, Maria Adua. They imposed him on the system, rigged him into office. The man came back and said, yes, for the first time, he was the first person to admit that he was rigged into office. Say, well, he will fix it, but he never lived to fix it.
Yeah.
So they keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Same thing with corruption, right? They started stealing shillings. Then at the point they increased it to collection of kickback known as 10%. Now it is wholesome robbery of the resources of the country. You find contractors. Before, contractors will take a contract, then they will give the civil servants 10%. Today, civil servants will ask you, we are giving you this contract to share the money between the two of us, not even go near the location of the contract. That's where we are. They are no longer even interested in taking kickbacks. They are taking the whole of the entire treasury, year in, year out. And this is happening and unfolding before our very eyes.
Okay, so we're talking about lack of free and fair elections.
Yes.
And corruption in the system, as things that we should move back and reform and correct in order to build, a more peaceful and develop our country better. Thank you so much, sir. I look at you and see all you do for Nigeria, and I'm wondering, what drives you? How come you became so passionate? I know it's your country, but not everybody is as passionate about their country as you are. So can you tell us what drives you?
We're driven by different circumstances in life. The experience I've had growing up dirt poor, experience I've had, having contact with police when I was 10 years old and they invaded and destroyed my village. The experience I had going to the university, joining student union and being expelled for no reason twice and spent 6 years in the university instead of 4. The experience I had being tortured, being beaten by police. The experience I have of discrimination. This is not white man discriminating against me now, but blacks, black on black discrimination. Tribalism, nepotism. The experience I had even leaving this country out of dissatisfaction and becoming a second-class citizen in another country, the United States of America in this case, where even with all those discrimination over there, I felt better. I felt more, you felt like a better human being. The system there is probably more humane towards me than that of my homeland. So these are things that kept driving me passionately. But you can also say that those things could also make you just don't want to do anything for your country. But I think it's also a function of internal resolve and will and personal conviction that has driven me so far towards making sure that whatever I can while I'm still here, I try to make my homeland a better country, and by extension the continent of Africa and the world. Yes.
Great resolve, I must say.
Yes.
You can all see your passion. I'm going to ask you about revolution now, but before then, there's the talk or people say you were pro APC and they used somehow your newspaper outfits to carry on their agenda for the election. And I know it might not be entirely correct. Is there something you have to say about that?
Look, people generally in Nigeria, people they throw excuses at you. In fact, our countrymen and women have a knack for throwing problems at every solution. So it's just one of our national behavior for people to make up stories and claim that you've done something you've never done. And the reason is simple. They find it difficult, and this is reasonably so, they find it difficult to see that there can be one person or a few persons who can do something altruistically, who can do something without hoping to benefit from it. And when that person comes up, they start questioning, how is it like that? Why is it like that? Why is he not rich? She could have become powerful, he's rich, she could have become a minister. And when they can't explain all of this away in any rational format, then they start to pounce on different conspiracy theories. Oh, APC used him. But the question you should ask yourself is that I've been doing this for 30 years. I fought, as you probably have seen, on the side of Abiola. I was never a member of SDP. In fact, we did not support him as a candidate for the election. But to get it closer to those who might find history of 1993 to be a little bit too complex and too far away, what about Goodluck Jonathan? When he was being held to ransom in this Abuja by the wife of Yar'Adua, Toure, they had a cabal, took Yar'Adua to Saudi Arabia and held the country to ransom. Even Jonathan did not know where Yar'Adua was or his condition. All the senators, judges in this country, most activists, militants, all of them kept quiet. They didn't fight for Jonathan. It was Sahara Reporters who was revealing every day. I was writing so many of those stories personally, using my resources to find out what is Yar'Adua's condition, to the point that we were able to prove to the country that the man was not in any physical condition to return to power. I should also not fail to mention even our media. They connived with the Yar'Adua cabal, some of them international, local, and they were lying that the man is doing exercise, he's reading the constitution, is coming back. The military in this country returned Yar'Adua back into Aso Rock, half dead, brain dead, and claimed that he was still in power. This same little person you're seeing here, from the comfort of a keypad and a laptop, was churning out hourly results and reports of what was true. And who was I supporting that time? PDP. So when the PDP guys came under Jonathan and start messing up, I usually never leave my watchdog post. I resumed and started revealing their own corruption to the world. None of them has been proven wrong till today. $50 million has so far been recovered from the wife, and she doesn't have a cocoa farm. They took umbrage at that. How dare you, little boy, again? You have started your trouble again. So, and because they fell upon their own sword of Damocles, they have to blame somebody. So I became the scapegoat. And when this current regime of APC came and they started messing up, immediately we started doing what we know how to do. What did they do? Package Sowore'S in the middle of the night into a DSS truck, jail me for 5 months. Who am I working for now? PDP? So there's a general confusion, but these narratives are sold by powerful people. Yeah. And I have said it severally. Things that people don't understand about me is that I'm an equal opportunity offender. I offend whomever goes wrong, as far as my conscience can tell. So it doesn't matter whether you are APC, PDP, I don't see you. I don't see flags. I don't see political logos. I just see leaders who should be doing their jobs and who turn themselves into rulers or thieves. I go after them with the same zeal. In fact, over time it's been proven that I've gone more ferocious, government after government. And the scars are there to tell. Before I couldn't even enter this country through the airport for years. They have my name at the airport anytime, so I had to be going through Ghana, Benin Republic, even under democratic rule. Most people don't know these things. And do you think that in the process of doing it, they don't approach me with position or money? They do. But because I'm not on the take, you can't find anybody amongst them who will say, oh, Sowore'S took money from me to do what he's doing. Never. When I was offered position under this Jonathan, I rejected it. I said, I'm not interested in position. I can't even survive 2 hours in the government house, either as an advisor or a minister, because I will tell you the truth. And you probably ask somebody to shoot me on the way out of the room. So I can't fit into this system political agenda. And then I'm glad that people think I'm powerful enough to bring in any particular government or bring down any government. But I think that is also exaggerated, because I would have used the same power to bring myself to office in 2019 if I was so powerful when I contested against Buhari as the presidential candidate.
Thank you so much. That clarity is really needed. Sowore has not been brought up. He fights any government that does wrong, and that is who he is. Thank you so much, sir. So now to revolution now campaign and protests. What kind of revolution are you trying to achieve in Nigeria?
Any system of oppression that doesn't give people the breathing space to develop, to aspire to greatness, to fully explore their potential, is always due for not servicing all the time, most times replacement. Yes. And a revolution is the solution to that. So revolution now was our response to our diagnosis of the Nigerian problems, that it has passed a stage of just ruffling the feathers of people in power. We have also passed a stage of reform, because the system cannot reform itself, and it had tried over the years to reform itself. The results were or are abysmal. And the last one is replacement. The system has to be completely replaced. And I came to that epiphany in 2019 finally, after I ran personally an election, traveled around this country and saw the farcical, outcome of leadership. How leadership is such a joke. And then participated in an election that did not happen. They had packaged the election results even before the day of the election. And said to myself, we cannot continue like this. The system is unsustainable. And that I will go ahead and mobilize others to put an end to that system of oppression. So when it started, a lot of people did not understand. They were running after me with dictionary. What's the meaning of revolution? Unfortunately, I was not around to answer those questions. In fact, the day I was arrested, there were 5 million searches on Google of Nigerians asking the meaning of revolution. Instead of the 5 million people to come out, they were on Google searching the meaning of revolution. If they had come out, Google would have redefined revolution itself as a different. The dictionary meaning would have had to be expanded. But it's not the dictionary matter, it's a matter of dynamic nature of human beings, that we cannot just be held down in the same place, same spot for 60 years. In Nigeria's case, for over 100 years, since 1914, when this country, not nation, was created by the British as a business concern, pretty much. And instead of our leaders to move us into a space of national cohesion, respect for human rights, economic equality, justice, equity, they kept moving away from it. And the result we have is this Nigeria you see today is broken. As we're sitting here, what's in your mind? You're hoping that electricity doesn't go off after 60 years. Maybe on your way home, you're hoping that you make it home, that the roads can take you to your destination. When you go to bed at night, you're hoping that someone doesn't break into your house, because if they do, there's no police coming to rescue you. You're hoping that if you send your children to school, they will not become more ignorant than they left home. You're hoping that if you get to the hospital, you're actually wishing that the doctor doesn't give you a wrong prescription that not only complicates your health situation but kills you. You're hoping that if you graduate from the university, you will get a job, which is an impossibility today. But while all of us are going through this hard, self-imposed hardships. A minority, a tiny clique of leaders are having a great time. They are buying jets. Each time there's a new jet in town, a Nigerian politician lays his hand on one. They send their children to schools abroad that could build universities at home for one person. Schools abroad, the school fees of one of their child or kids in some of these schools can build a whole university in a year. When they are sick, even when they have cold and headache, they don't stay around in our hospitals because they don't exist. They just get themselves into an air ambulance that charges about $30,000 per hour. Fly to London, multiply that by 6 or 7 hours. That could build a hospital in Nigeria. So you are saddled with some of the most egregious criminals in position of authority. And what you do with that is a revolution. Because you can't appeal to them anymore to change their ways. They are caked in their ways. The system has been so compromised, so polluted, that they cannot reform any one of them because they have already sabotaged the system. So we have reached a point where it's not even about individuals anymore. We have reached a point where the engine of the vehicle must be changed because they've stolen the tires a long time ago.
Okay, Mr. Sowore'S. So how can we ensure, because of course definitely I've experienced that already, resistance, and for you revolution is change of leadership, and definitely you're going to encounter or you're encountering resistance. How are you going to deal with that and ensure that there's some form of peaceful revolution in Nigeria?
So we are not encountering resistance. We're encountering oppression and suppression. What is lacking, what hasn't reached a crescendo, is resistance. Mass resistance, mass revolt. Because the system of oppression we are fighting against is a system put in place, managed, and serviced by a minority. Greedy, wicked, and corrupt minority. They're not even up to 1% of our population. So our people just have to wake up. And the earlier they wake up, and the more people get involved in the resistance, the less bloody it becomes. I am not advocating for a bloody revolution. I honestly don't have that trait or attitude. My 30 years as an activist in this country, I've never even learned how to shoot a gun before. But I've had guns pointed at me maybe 1,000 times for engaging in peaceful protests and conduct. So most times you should just look at your society and understand it very well. That regardless of how peaceful you are, a broken system will end up killing more people than would have died in a peaceful protest. Yes. Yes. And what you're saying that is, if we had our way today, at the end of today, to get the statistics of people who die in road accidents, you'll be surprised. If we had a chance to get number of people who die as a result of negligence and lack of drugs and equipment in a hospital, you'll be shocked. If you get a way to find out how many women die because they can't have their babies the way they want to, assisted, you'll be so shocked. How many kids don't even make it out of their baby's, their mom's womb because of the broken system? So if you don't kill the system, if you don't kill the switch, the system is going to kill you anyways. It's going to kill you.
Okay, so do you believe in one Nigeria?
Oh, I've said it. I've said it from the point of view of a Pan-Africanist. I'm not even I don't only believe in one, I believe in one Africa. I wish that the African continent was a country because I've lived in a country continent before. The United States has 50 states. Actually 51, I think. Some of its territories added to it. And just one state in the US is bigger than Nigeria, Alaska. Texas is 75% of Nigeria. California is just half of Nigeria. And there are 50 of those states. Nigeria is not even big. But part of the lie they sell to you is that Nigeria is too big, it's too complex to govern. But you must not discountenance people who are asking for a break-up, because they are just looking at it and saying, look, maybe if we break up, at least me and my people, we can be enjoying our resources in our own corner of our broken up Nigeria. But it's an argument of people who just are too overly simplistic about Nigeria's problem. Because the argument is that somehow some part of the country feel that the way Nigeria is today is caused by one section of Nigeria. It's not true. They say there is an elite in the middle of all this. They have no tribe. The only tribe they belong to is greed. That's it. And they're all very ensconced and embedded in the system. So when you break Nigeria up, these different parts will just ask the leeches in their area, in the center, to go back to where they are. So how do you change the greedy ones amongst you in Yoruba land? How do you change the murderers in Yoruba land? Are they going to change overnight because Nigeria is broken up? So they're going to start driving the big cars. They're going to stop rigging elections, when they are the ones who provide expert advice to rig election for your very well hated Hausa Fulani oligarchy. You have forgotten that there's a Yoruba oligarchy too. There's an Igbo oligarchy. There is an Ibibio oligarchy. There is a TV oligarchy. There is an Ijaw oligarchy. The country Nigeria today is all of those oligarchs at the center, working together seamlessly. They speak the same language. They don't quarrel except when there's not enough to eat. It's then that they remember, oh, they are taking food from us, so, it's because we are a job. But ask yourself, the guys who stole 81 billion naira from NDDC, are they Hausa Fulanis? They are Yorubas. I'm sorry, they are Southside people. One of them is Ibibio. I don't know where they come from, but I know they are from the Niger Delta region. And just yesterday, one of them said, if they release the list of the contractors who have destroyed NDDC, that Nigeria will collapse. What are they trying to tell you is that in every corner of Nigeria, there's an NDDC contractor who has refused to implement a contract given to him, which I talked about earlier. So, those who are asking for or agitating for a breakup, they have reasons for doing it. Some of them feel like this burden is just too heavy. It's just like you wake up and you are a member of a large family. Your father probably has so many kids. And you have money. But instead of you to see which one you can train up send to school, you carry your money and you run away. You want to create your own world. And one day people start calling you and said, your brother just engaged in armed robbery. You say, which of my brothers? Your last name start appearing and people start asking you, isn't that person your brother? I say yes. Whereas if you had stayed back and helped to clean up the house, maybe help your parents, they would have become better people. Because what is driving the agitation mostly is that, oh, we have resources. Let's go and manage our resources. But people don't even understand the dynamics of resources. Oil that is driving the cry for agitation in Niger Delta, in another 10 years, you will be drinking the oil because nobody will be buying oil from you anymore. It's already started. So the next resource might actually come from the north, sunshine. Because solar-powered electricity might be the next biggest resource in the world. That everybody that even has this space of land to sell to someone who wants to put a solar cell might be selling it more than you're selling an oil well, because that would be high demand because of the dynamism of resource technological developments. So we have to look at the future. But that is not to say, and I'm saying this categorically for people to understand, that we should discountenance people who have an agenda to want to stay in their own part of the world without wanting to be disturbed. It's called self-determination. It's a right guaranteed by even the United Nations human rights documents that you can decide, even if Nigeria were to be a prosperous country, there are people who might say they don't want to be part of Nigeria anymore. And they will do a referendum and they can go. If they feel like they need to come back, they will come back.
Okay.
So nobody should be forced to be part of this marriage called Nigeria. I don't believe that. But I also don't believe that, we should break up simply because some people are misbehaving.
Okay, like break up is not the solution. It's like
it won't solve the problem. I've said it several times and nobody has disputed it. If we have Biafra, I use that as an example frequently. And suddenly, Biafra has oil, that's electricity, jobs, some of the best schools. Even people from Ethiopia, Eritrea, will be moving to Biafra to come and stay. All of us will move to Biafra. So how do you deal with influx of immigrants? Are you going to build a wall around Biafra? If you build a wall, somebody will say, put me as a catapult. I will land on the other side, or you go and blow under, or you come from the sea. So those kind of arguments have to be considered on a long-term basis. It's not going to, what I'm saying is that a breakup is not as simple as even a revolution. Because every section that is breaking up now will still have to have their own revolution to have a breathing space.
Okay, so well said. Well said. So it's more like Nigerians should stay united and let's find solutions to problems. Looking at Nigeria at the moment, we have a lot of insecurity issues. For me, insecurity issues in Nigeria is paramount to any other problem. And how do you think these issues can be addressed? Talking to our leaders, to all Nigerians, who has a role to play to ensure that we are safe in this country?
You see, when people talk about security, they focus on the only one they know, which is physical security. And then it empowers government to enact policies that's about national security. People forget that security has a lot of components. And without first of all solving the other insecurities, you can't solve the problem of national security. What is the first security you need in this society to even have peace, development and progress? Economic security, job security. Because when you have educational security, right, you have power, you have great health. A lot of people that are involved in the crime that is now known as insecurity that is bothering us will not go out and engage in crime. The time that maybe your parents told you or your grandfather told you that Nigeria was slightly okay, people used to leave their doors open. Their car, they would stop the car and leave the car keys there. Nobody will touch it. Because why? Everybody was kind of fairly okay economically. This society was economically just and fairly egalitarian. Resources were not looted the way they are looted today. The moment you take all of that away, you are tackling a problem that requires a pen sometimes with guns. A problem that requires books, you are tackling it with gun. How many people do you want to kill? There's not enough guns in the world to solve physical security problem, national security problem. Even China, with the biggest military in the world, had to find a way of resolving its security problems by ensuring that they invest in their people. So, because they've come to the point that with what are you going to do if all your citizens are hungry and looking for ways of making it? You drop a nuclear weapon on them, will it not affect you too? So what did China start doing? China started industrializing. They started providing jobs, housing for their people. And to some extent now, people are talking about apartments in different parts of China that are not even occupied. They're built into the future. They built train lines, that are some of the fastest moving. And also, they are exporting their own technology. The same thing is happening with India. Because now, population has become a blessing as opposed to a curse in the past. So, what am I trying to say here is for people to understand holistically that there is a holistic definition of security, and until you tackle every part of it, you are wasting your time by focusing on this is just like you are focusing on the symptoms. You are not treating the main disease that is afflicting the nation, and know that it came from them. Even if you look at the flashpoints in the country, security-wise, what are our biggest security challenges? Terrorism, right? Mm-hmm. Who are the biggest terrorists in this country today? They are the children you abandoned in Kanuri and sent them to Amajiri schools, who were looking at you as you were sending your children to London, and one day they decided to pick up arms against you. Who are the kidnappers? They are mostly the graduates. So many of them, they say they speak fluent English, who graduated several years ago, they don't have a job. In fact, what we usually hear from the experience of people who are kidnapped and released is that they always ask, look, we wouldn't be doing this if we had something else to do. Armed robbery, economic, the rest of it has to do with our security architecture. What am I saying? Police is supposed to be doing internal security. Police is not doing internal security. Police is doing the guard work, carrying bags for wives of politicians. One governor will have 200 policemen, nobody to protect the other people. Army is not doing internal security, but not only is Army doing that, Army has become a business in the country. So even when they have a chance to end terrorism like Boko Haram, the business aspect of it is fueling the continuation of that business. So what else are we looking at? When you buy weapons, people go and buy fake weapons. When you give people contracts to supply weapons, they don't supply everything. So you want to fight Boko Haram and you are counting bullets for soldiers. And then you are wondering why they get outgunned by Boko Haram. The question we should ask ourselves is, how many people are in Boko Haram? Maybe maximum 100,000? How is it that 100,000 ragtag army, likely on train, can defeat 500,000 soldiers, well trained, on salary, they have bulletproof uniform, they're supposed to have vehicles? How come? Does that even make sense? That's where we are as a country. But again, does it not boil down to the leadership of even the security agencies that have failed, completely failed? But when you are talking about security agencies, who is the number one person in the security architecture? The commander-in-chief of the armed forces, who has failed beyond comprehension. If I was to be his teacher, I wouldn't know how to mark his exam paper.
Okay, Mr. Sowore, you're really like an attack on leadership, and that is where it's hard for you.
It is because until we get that leadership thing right, we are just deceiving you. I can't sit down in front of you that, if we go back to the conferences we had before, that our problem will be solved, or that if we somehow manage, as we used to be managing for 60 years, that we'll somehow get out of this, or ask you to go and pray. In a nation of everywhere, everybody's a praying mantis. Everybody's praying. You are wondering, the countries that don't even pray, they are doing better than us. What's wrong with us?
So Nigerians, you've heard, let's be more practical and address the issue where it is at. I'm going to be asking, or talking about the South African experience, how Nelson Mandela was jailed for 27 years, and when I heard Mr. Sowore went to jail, I'm like, maybe he's going to come out and then be Nigerian's Nelson Mandela. In that he came out with a model of forgiveness, understanding, love, tolerance, and he was able to use that to bring about some kind of revolution in South Africa. Where is the place of bridging that gap between quote-unquote enemy opposition and then having to be able to relate and work together in ensuring that kind of peace and development?
Let me tell you two major things about Nelson Mandela. Right? Nelson Mandela would not have survived for 27 years in a Nigerian prison. I tell you that straight up. But maybe I'm saying that hypothetically. He probably will survive anyway because there was also a place for destiny in his life. But the second aspect of it, which is what you're asking for, is that by the time Nelson Mandela was released, he would have been released some 10 years earlier, but he refused to be released into an apartheid society. He said to them, look, as long as you are holding on to your apartheid mentality, you might as well just forget me here because I'm not coming out to come and help you meet in the middle. So the apartheid operators had purged themselves of apartheid and humbled themselves enough that even the guy who was president of South Africa before Nelson Mandela came out agreed to be his deputy. They had been humbled, but they didn't humble themselves naturally, they were humbled by resistance. So I didn't come out of detention to come and be working with the same people who put me in detention, who still feel like tomorrow they can go and grab another person, even come and grab me and put me back in detention, when they have not purged themselves of the content that they have for the Nigerian people, or even for the jobs to which reportedly or quote unquote they were elected. So there's no place for compromise. In my heart, there's no place to work with people who don't know what they are doing. No. Even when I was in detention, the last interrogation they had with me, they were asking me what do I think is the solution. I said, you can deceive yourself all you want. Every day people are giving you solution on TV, they are writing you letters. Your hearts have been hardened. The only solution is for you to self-destruct. I told them. I was sure, why are you taking this personal? It's not personal. But there's something personal about freedom. There's something personal about progress. I feel personal about seeing a country that at night you can go anywhere you want. You can go to hospitals that you like, and that you can drive from here to Enugu, and you are not either shot by armed robbers, kidnappers, or the police. That people don't get kidnapped by either police or states and tortured. If that's the country we want, yes, there will be a place for working together. But as long as you want to be embezzling money and when you are asked questions you faint, there's no place for us to work. There's no meeting point. There's no middle road in those circumstances. So that's why I have been very clear about where I want to go. And they have heard it from me directly. They heard it on record, even when I'm under detention, or when I was under detention.
Okay, well said, sir. So what's up for 2023 for you? Are we expecting a presidential nomination from you?
People are putting the cart before the horse. We're talking about 2023. I'm saying it categorically to Nigerians that the way we are going, this country may not make it to 2023 if they keep running the country the way it is now. And even if it does, it has been conditioned or designed to fail in 2023. What is failure? They will do no election in 2023 and announce a winner because the result has also already been prepared. So for us to get to 2023, we must go past 2020. We must survive 2021, 2022 in a condition of resistance. Then when we get to close to 2023, it will be clear to everybody that we can participate in free and fair elections. Yes. But to now help them, legitimize their ways of doing things, this crooked way of doing things, I say, well, I'm going to raise up my hand in 2023, come and vote for me. And then when it's time for counting of votes, they will allocate some numbers to me, and everybody is going to sit down. So maybe you participated in the election. You understand? This is not my own idea of participating or participatory democracy. For you to participate in a participatory democracy, there must be democracy first. And a democratic process must meet certain thresholds. And until we meet those, we can't even be making bogus announcements now.
Okay, so what would you do differently if you were in that position? I know you've said so much about leadership and how good leadership is key. Imagine, like, you look forward to your presidency anytime soon.
Yes.
What would you do differently?
Restore security, power, infrastructure, stamp out corruption with the use of technology, openness and transparency, bring about an education process that rapidly educate our people so that they can be empowered enough to deal with myriads of problems, restructure this country, not their own type of restructuring, I've said this time, it's a restructuring that is only looking backward to 1963 is not exactly how we need to move on, because the world has changed since 1963 so much that we can't fit into the same trousers we used to wear in 1963 in 2020. Of course, bring about a health revolution as well that takes advantage of the global technology that's now available in the health sector, and includes telemedicine, where someone who is in his house here in Abuja might even have access to a doctor in the US, because you provide the opportunity and you provide the gateway for those kind of interactions to happen. Of course, agriculture, technology, which become our next gold. Not these goods that they are packaging, the one they brought from Saudi Arabia and then took it to Zamfara and designed their name on it and took it to Aso Rock. No, those are not the kind of resources. You see, what this country needs most is to develop its human beings to become self-sufficient, to become productive, to have what we have never had before, an industrial revolution. We can't have all of this without the base. And what is the base? You, for example, can't have industries when you have no power. You can have transportation and integration, even the unity of the country. To unite one place to the other, I said you need roads to connect them. When people are living in their own cocoons and bubbles of poverty, how do they reach each other? So many of this unity thing we appreciate about, do you know that they disappear if people feel that they can get a job in Kano and can travel to Owerri, not by air alone, but by train, and on the weekend and they are back, because the advantage of this kind of infrastructure is that it's even difficult for armed robbers to attack a fast-moving train, no matter how sophisticated they are, or kidnappers. How many people will they kidnap if the train is carrying 1,000 people and it's moving very fast? You can't even catch up with it. So when you provide these opportunities, for people, they'll start loving themselves. I've lived in the US for 20 years, lived in New York. New York there's a joke in New York that every family has a representative in New York, but it's never had a tribal war before. Reason is because when people work, they get paid. Nobody looks at them. Well, there's racism there and discrimination, but not at our own level. So the fact that they have access to those things about life, some people don't even want to know the next person on the street. It doesn't concern them because the system takes care of everybody somehow. So, but here it's because we don't even have enough. The little we have, everybody's jostling for it, and people think if I'm Igbo, maybe I'll get better. If I'm Yoruba, I'll get more. If the guy from my village is the governor, we can steal more. That's not development, it's not progress. So, but it will take brand new leadership that understand how the world works, that's selfless, that is committed, and has conviction and conscience as well to do all of these things. And these things are easy to do. Forget about what they tell you that, Nigeria is complex. I ask people all the time, if Nigeria is so complex to govern, why is it not complex to steal? Right? You will find the governor, he has stolen $1 billion practically in 4 years. Go and meet the governor today, he'll be telling you, things are so complex. But it's still, that one is not complex. But when it comes to doing roads, it's complex. Build schools, it's complex. Then he finishes his tenure, and then he'll come and show you one estate in Abuja that is owned by one person in 4 years. And that to build the estate is not complex. To build Sowore'S and all the technology that is needed to make it an ultra-modern estate is not complex. But to do it in their own state for their people is complex. To pay salaries is complex. But to steal salaries is not complex. Right? To build hospital is complex. But to travel to international hospitals is not complex. To build schools is complex. But to send your children to good schools abroad is not complex. Do you see the irony?
We need to address the complex state of Nigeria.
Yes.
Thank you so much. You said so much. We've spent a lot of time talking, but I would like you to speak to young people. There are a lot of young people out there who look up to you in some way. So what would you advise them when it comes to, I'm sure Nigerians don't have lazy youths, but when it comes to pursuing their dreams and then contributing also to making Nigeria work?
I don't like to behave as if I'm some inspirational speaker, who is trying to tell you that things are going to be all right even when you don't do anything, or that your destiny will find you, or your liberty will find your wealth will find you while you are sleeping. It's not going to happen. My position to young people is that, look, just understand that privilege of being young is not going to last forever, and that it's the best position you can be in life, and it's going to be what we define not only your own future but the future of people around you, your country, and in some cases the world. So take the bull by the horn. So whatever it is that is confronting you right now, the problem you are faced with, you must have a practical solution to it. Practical solution to it.
Okay.
Practical solution. And for me, young people in Nigeria, what's confronting you is oppression. Yes. You have been oppressed left, right, and center. Everybody takes you for granted. If you rent a house, your landlord takes you for granted because they think you're stupid. If you go to school, your vice chancellor takes you for granted because he thinks you are lazy. Right? If you go to work, your employer takes you for granted because he thinks you are useless. Right? If you go, things that you deserve are not given to you. Even when you go and worship in religious places, people are talking down on you because they think you're an idiot. But look at countries around us. Mali just did them. Belarus is not around us, but they're having an uprising as we speak. Look at what young people did in South Africa to end apartheid. So, at the moment we get out of this cubicle of oppression, every other great things can be added onto you. Because one thing that I must say finally, in wrapping up, if you don't have any more questions.
Just find out what address
is that every nation that has experienced a revolution never went back to where they used to be before, because a revolutionary outcome is like a guiding angel. It would always empower those who've been oppressed, and it would always make people who are press us to be cautious forever.
Thank you so much, sir. This is Peace Talk with Mrs. I would always like to end with a word of peace.
Yes.
Finally, how can everybody, for me, I always believe in inclusion, every one of us, having the perception of peace. So from Mr. Sowore, what is your word of peace to every Nigerian at this moment?
Is that only justice can guarantee peace.
Thank you so much.
And on that note, I say peace out.
Peace out, guys. Thank you so much, Mr.
Omoyele.
Omoyele, I'm always missing it. Omoyele, Sowore. It's a pleasure. Wonderful hearing from you once again. People out there actually look forward to this. They called me. They really need to hear you, and I'm sure they really got enough of you because you really talked and learned about the issues in Nigeria and the difference you are fighting to make. Thank you for being on Peace Talk Mercy. Amazing having you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me, and hope to talk to you again.
Yes, I really look forward to talking to you again and again and again.
I extend my greetings, revolutionary greetings to all your viewers.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Revolution now.
Revolution now.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. That was the discussion for today on Peace Talk with Mercy, and I hope you did hear so much about how we all have a role to play to ensure that we have peace and development in Nigeria. So this is from me. Peace.